Hi, everyone. As you know, we are conducting interviews with some awesome coaches, healers, and practitioners for our Empower You Energy Healing and Manifesting series. Today, my special guest is a dear friend, an NLP master practitioner, a certified hypnotist, a certified advanced regression specialist, and an all round cool person. She's going to be sharing her brand new guided hypnosis meditation with you all, which will be attached to this video. I'm so excited to bring you Lani Buess from LaniBuess.com. Welcome, Lani.
Well, hi, Daniel. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here, really. So I'm excited for this.
And thank you for being here. I know I say this, but I've been looking forward to this one. So, so what's the weather been like in New Jersey today?
New Jersey is hot and rainy, so it's kind of sweltering heat and rain. It's a really weird mix, but
Oh, England is just wet and not so sweltering, just grey and depressing. But anyway, I'm not depressed now. That's awesome. So just want to jump in, and I'd like to ask you, and I'm sure everyone at home watching this will be interested to know a bit of background about yourself and how you came to be doing the work you do today. So
yeah. I mean, NLP and hypnosis, if you're not in personal development, seems really odd, especially amongst my friends or family who are like, what are you doing? But I feel like I officially started studying hypnosis and NLP in 2015. But I think my journey started like much earlier, maybe like when I was a kid, in various different ways. So I had really debilitating, like painful shyness when I was little. And I guess today they would call it social anxiety. But then, back in the early 80s, nobody knew what that was. So I was really kind of trapped in my own self, and I wasn't engaging in the world around me in some sense. Like I kind of didn't like to go to sleepovers or parties or things like that. And I actually like meditated a lot when I was little, and I didn't think that was meditation, but I would constantly like sit alone by myself, close my eyes, and be in that state for a really long period of time.
wow.
Yeah. So I was, even though like I didn't have a group of, friends, large group of friends, like I was pretty content as a kid because I just stayed in my imagination, stayed in my own little world. But as life is, you get older and teenage years come and the reality of the world outside of you. And a lot of, I guess, worse anxiety started happening for me.
Yes.
And I was blowing off I didn't want to do certain things. I didn't do jobs that required like public speaking. I avoided, huge parties. It wasn't so, and at that time I forgot all about meditation. So I was kind of just like in this whirlwind of like chaos and anxiety, and I had really no outlet at the time. So it was around 2015 when I started the studies. And at that time, I was starting to slowly come out of my shell, but I was kind of white knuckling things. Like I was forcing myself in uncomfortable like situations. I became a reporter, did all these like outgoing things, but in like a really stressful way of doing it. And I came to a point where, outwardly it was kind of successful. I had a lot of our friends, but at one point around that time, I was kind of like, is there that cliche saying of, is there more to life than this? Kind of like, getting up, going to like the 9 to 5, like feeling that sort of like monotonous, like draining day-to-day existence. And I had some friends at the time that I kind of lost touch with, who were kind of like more like-minded as me, like interpersonal development, things like that. And when I didn't have them there, there was like a lack going on that contributed to that kind of like, what's the purpose of everything? And what's the purpose of my life? So when that was all happening, I realized, because I actually reintroduced myself to meditation again, like religiously at that time. And I noticed that, you know, even though these people left my life, it wasn't about the people. Like they represented a void in myself
Yeah,
that I was searching for.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that connection with myself, some more meaning, some more purpose. Like, what did I want to do that was really more meaningful? And then through meditation and all these things, I stumbled upon all these synchronicities. Like, you know, I met you through, you know, the Big Life and Carl Harvey and all these personal development groups. I just started meeting people, and through you know, all of this process, hypnosis and NLP sort of came into my life at that time. And long story short, even though it's not short now, but while I was like starting to like read up on these studies and researching them, I was talking to a friend of mine who's a hairdresser, and she's like, and I was telling her about like what I'm into and what I was thinking of studying, and she said to me, "Weird, I just had this client, you know, in my chair the other day who's not my client. It's typically like my coworker's client, but I think she's into like the stuff you're into. Like, I don't know." So I like harassed my friend. I'm like, "Who's this person? Like, what are you talking about?" And I basically found her online, and she was studying, or she was a coach, like a peak performance coach that did exactly what I was thinking of studying.
Cool.
So
Yes.
yeah, so it was insane. So graciously, she let me have a session with her. And I said graciously because at the time I wasn't aware that she was coaching, you know, award-winning writers, Wall Street types, famous actors, and like celebrities in like the state of New York. So I had my very first experience of like hypnosis and NLP, and it kind of just seemed like a conversation. Then we kind of went into like a trance that seemed like a light trance. But I remember vividly like opening my eyes, walking out that door, and physically seeing differently. Like everything was high definition, like a complete sensory distortion of like everything was really vivid, high definition. I felt like I was in this insane like movie. It's almost as if I was high, but it was not on drugs. And I was like in the state of euphoria, and I said, "This is it. Like, I want to give this people, like, I want to give other people this experience." And it was, yeah, that was basically it.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I used to
Yeah.
numb myself with class A drugs to get, well, it was highs initially, but then it became just a coping mechanism to numb things. But initially it was the highs, and then I recognized I could, once I cleaned up, I could get those highs, but much better naturally through spiritual pursuits and practices.
Yeah.
So, so the NLP came first, I understand. Is that right? And then went into hypnosis.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually wanted to study hypnosis first. But I was like, what is this NLP thing? It just seems odd and weird. And it's like the study is like intense. I'll do that first. I'll just see like if I like it or not. So I started it backwards. But then, yeah, then the hypnosis came second. But they're really kind of like, to me, hypnosis and NLP are kind of like the same coin, but just opposite sides of that same coin. So, yeah.
So they kind of complement each other. Or the, yeah. All right. That's
Yeah.
really interesting. What would you say your biggest challenges have been as a, before you became a therapist or a practitioner? And
Biggest challenges beforehand. Well, I think in some ways, like I've always had struggles with anxiety or anxiousness. So that's something that I've worked a lot with, knowing now tools and techniques to help myself through those.
yes.
And even like before a session, even to this day, as you know, I'll get a little nervous before I have sessions with people, you know, like, you know, you want to do really good. You want to put like your heart and soul into it. You're like, oh, I just want to give them my all. And like, what if they don't respond the way I want them to respond? Like, you got to take yourself out of that ego state and be like, you know, it's all about them. You know, we're providing value for them, but you kind of sometimes get caught up in that anxiety or anxiousness of, you know, of just wanting to deliver 100%, you know? So
Absolutely, yeah. See, I'm aiming to that. And I think it's part of the process, part of the journey, feeling attached to outcomes,
yeah,
feeling nervous. And I think, I've been doing this for quite a while now, it's a bit longer than I care to admit. I still sometimes get a bit nervous before a session, nervous before doing this interview. So I think it
yeah,
just proves that you care, doesn't it? It just proves that you're taking it seriously and you want to give value to people's lives and you want to make a difference. So
yeah,
only
definitely.
that nervousness be there, some.
Yeah.
So, um, so we kind of touched on this a little bit, but what would you say are your favorite aspects of doing this work?
Oh, well, there's a few. So I love just connecting with people. Like I think I have a background in journalism. So I've always loved, and it's funny, like I've always loved the interview part of things and learning about people as opposed to actually do the writing back then. So now I kind of get to do that in a different way. Like now I get to learn about somebody and like have no judgments because that's easy for me because I come from being objective background, an objective person from my background.
Yeah.
So just learning about someone and learning how they tick, I think is the most fascinating part. So it's that connection and then learning what they're doing that's causing them to get stuck in whatever state they're in. And then me figuring out like puzzle pieces, like, all right, like maybe if I do this or maybe if I do that. And it's us working together as a team to figure out how they process their information, like how they process their life, how they're filtering in information, and how to get them, like shift them into a better way of dealing or managing or overcoming things in their world. So it's that. And it's a whole learning process. It's almost like improv acting. You're kind of like
Yes.
throwing something and you're like, okay, like, all right, like, every person is so unique and different. And so it's the challenge of like all of these different ingredients going into a process, like one session. So it's all of that.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I know you've provided an awesome brand new hypnosis session, which we're going to talk about in a moment or two. But aside from that, what do you think? Do you have any sort of tips or some things that you use when you're suffering from anxiety
Oh
or
yeah.
experiencing what works best for you?
Yeah, thankfully for, because I've studied with so many different teachers and some of them are just so brilliant and have fascinating techniques that I just kind of just glom onto them. So a technique that I love, obsessively do all the time, is basically it's called peripheral vision.
Mhm.
So if you're having kind of like insane amounts of thoughts in your head and you're getting overwhelmed and you're worrying and anxiety, it's such a simple thing of just picking a point on a wall or anything, just focusing somewhere and like focusing on that point and then kind of softening your gaze and focusing on the space around that point and then kind of extending the space out. It's essentially zoning out, but you're kind of like in your own trance state. And when you're there, nothing else can get in between that, because I think oftentimes when we're stuck in anxiety state or any problem state, we're like stuck in one hemisphere of the brain. So we have to like end up using both hemispheres and kind of like
All right, that's
shifting
interesting.
awareness. Hmm.
So I invite those watching at home and in the Empower You group to give that a try. Just focus on an area in the room. That's right. It could be anything, the light switch or the door handle, and
Yeah.
then just kind of zoning out from there. And it brings the brain into some kind of cohesion. There's like some kind of, I don't know what the word is, but it blends it together. Left and right
Yeah.
hemispheres.
Yeah, definitely.
Brings you more present. So is that what you're saying? Am I understanding
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. You kind of zone out. So all those thoughts just kind of disappear because you become very aware of, it's basically like redirecting your focus and your attention. I mean, you could do anything, like especially with technology nowadays, like people get stressed out or they see a text message. I mean, you can do it with your phone. You know what I mean? You can look at your phone, look at space around your phone. And there's so many different ones. And another one I like, and I do often as well, if sometimes we're just in a feeling state, like it could be anger, anxiousness, or any kind of like emotion, and you can link it to a thing, like you could think of a problem, or it could just be an emotion that you're feeling. It's basically essentially like a drop through. So you think about that feeling, say it's anger, and you just hold on to it long enough for you to discover what lies beneath what lies underneath that anger.
Yes.
For some, it goes from anger to maybe like sadness, and you keep dropping through until you get past a neutral state. And usually you're just like, oh, I feel happy now, or whatever. You're like, it's so easy, it might take a while, but you can drop through all of the emotions because it's like an onion. Like emotions are just like layers of an onion. And so you drop through and you either go to neutral state or beyond that, a positive state, and then bring it up to that initial problem you had and see how it shifts.
Yeah, I use that one myself as well. Sometimes it can take a while to drop through, but sometimes it's quite quick as well. And you're like, whew, you're great now. I'm back in my own energy, yes.
Yeah.
Back in a positive energy mindset frame. Right.
Yeah.
Now, I want you to talk to our viewers about your brand new audio. I must admit, you sent it to me this morning and I had a listen to it and I thought it was fantastic.
Cool.
And so well done. And just want you to explain a bit about it and what it could be used for, please.
Yeah, well, essentially it's called an expanded awareness, sort of like hypnotic induction. So I think it's great for when you're just kind of feeling stuck and you don't know, it doesn't have to be like a certain specific problem, but it could just be like a state of mind, or you can have a problem. But it's just an ambiguous, kind of vague, an experience that you just allow your mind to kind of wander around into this expansiveness. So it's kind of like we're talking about the drop through. This is sort of like dropping into a deeper, going deeper within with countdown, like like from a 1 to 10 or so. Yeah. And then you just see where your mind goes. For some, it could take you anywhere. It can take you to past memories. For some people, you can think about a medical issue or pain that you're experiencing, and bring yourself in, like basically deliver healing to yourself. Or if you have a problem or like a question, a nagging issue that you can't have answers, you don't have answers. When you go into that state, like deep meditation state, you can ask yourself questions and see if you can get answers to that question. So it allows you, it's a really open-ended process, because I didn't want it to be too specific because I didn't know who was going to listen to this. So I wanted something that everyone can have a unique experience and anything can happen from it. So that's what I hope I provided.
Yeah, absolutely. As I say, for those listening, watching at home, I recommend you put some headphones on.
Yes.
Just allow yourself to be guided by the expert Lani Buess and enjoy and offer some feedback afterwards. I really do invite you to give yourself this gift, and thank you for sharing it.
No, it's my pleasure.
Do you have any final thoughts, Lani, before we wrap things up?
Wow, final thoughts. I'm assuming a lot of people who might listen to this might be aware, but and some people might not be aware. I know but our unconscious mind kind of dictates, and depending on what you're listening to or reading, anywhere from 99 to 95 or 95 to 99% of our decision making. So quite often people go around consciously, living their lives thinking, oh, I'm making outright decisions. That's me making them, but it's really unconscious. And our conscious is made up of all these thoughts and beliefs that we've acquired over the years since we've been little, and emotions and past experiences that have been building up to this point of who we are now. And the reality, if you start working more with your unconscious, which is, your brain is linked to your emotions, which is linked to your body. I mean, nowadays they're really realizing that like even childhood trauma is linked to current states in adults, like physical ailments and things. So like we carry things emotionally in our body that can come out in physical ailments and all those things. So it's really important to know and learn techniques that help you, touch base with that unconscious part of you, because it really is dictating our lives. It's the boss. And so that's why I like, and I love the work that I do, because I help people, tap into that area of themselves.
Yeah. And on that note, and yes, you've just explained that beautifully. Thank you. So on that note, if anybody watching this would like to connect with you or work with you, what's the best way to do so?
Sure. I mean, I have a website that they can see, what I do and learn a little bit more about me. And it's basically lanibuess.com. or they can email me at change@lanibuess.com.
Okay.
So, yeah.
You've got a Facebook page going on as well.
It's Facebook page. So it's Lani B, change agent. And I have a YouTube as well. So if you go anywhere on those website or Facebook page, you'll probably find my YouTube page as well somewhere.
Yeah. So for those watching, if you've got value from this interview, and as I say, the attached audio, I'm sure you'd love to hear some feedback from that.
I would love to hear some feedback.
So give this video some love, some likes for Lani, and for giving her time and her energy and her expertise. And if you're watching this video anywhere else other than in the Facebook group, maybe it's on YouTube, there'll also be a link somewhere to join our group with some awesome, deliberate creators. So for now, I'd just like to thank my special guest, Lani.
Thank you.
Yes, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.
Bye.